Hello friends, welcome to the Jazz Ranch, hipsters, flipsters, and finger popping daddies. Welcome back. And I have a special video for you this evening based on a solo that I've learned that was played by Barry Harris on an album called Constellation with Sonny Stitt. The song is called Web City. I'm going to be playing his solo, his improvisational solo. It's a bebop solo. And you know, Barry right now is in need of medical assistance from you folks out there. I know there's many of you that follow him, have taken courses with him, or have enjoyed his playing over the years. Please go to MyFundMe, the MyFundMe account for Barry Harris. It's on Facebook, and contribute to that. And I want to help him out that way. He's one of the great legends, and he's still with us, and let's keep him with us and keep him healthy. And you know, this particular cut now, it's from, like I said, the album Constellation by Sonny Stitt. And it's Barry Harris's solo. I'm going to give you some pointers on it. I'm going to play it for you and give you some pointers on how to improvise in a bebop style. Now, one of the great bebop artists was Dizzy Gillespie, and he said this. He said, "There have been two great revelations in my life. The first was bebop. The second was homeopathy." You know, or homeopathy, I guess, whatever you want to pronounce it. But anyway, it's a study of science, of health science. In other words, you heal yourself through your immune system by stimulating your immune system rather than using drugs. And there's special natural remedies that they use to do that. The second quote comes from Gillespie, and he said this: "The idea of life is to give and receive." So that's a great thing that I always talked about. And so you give and you receive in the same flow, but yet may be different. You don't give to some person and they give back to you. You just give out there to the universe or to someone, and something comes back to you automatically. It's just the way it works. It works magically. It's just the way the universe has been designed, and I guarantee it. So now here we go with a Barry Harris improvisational solo, bebop solo, to improve your bebop chops and your improvisation. It's called Web City. Here we go. So looking through files, I came across this transcription of a Barry Harris solo from an album called Constellation by Sonny Stitt. And it was recorded in 1972, and this is Barry Harris's solo on the song. You can listen to it on a link that I'll give you down below the video if you want to listen to Barry Harris's actual solo, him playing. Now, I can't play like Barry Harris. You know, you can't compare me to Barry Harris. He's a legend, a jazz legend. But I mean, you can learn things from this solo, whether you learn it from the album or you learn it from this video. This video is going to be probably an easier way to learn it, because I'm going to talk about my insights into the solo, some of the things that I think that benefit you by learning a solo that was played by a legendary player. Particularly, this particular solo is really bebop oriented, and so that's really the basis of modern jazz improvisation. All the modernists, you know, came from that school of playing back in the 40s, 50s, mostly in the 50s with Charlie Parker and Bud Powell. But Sonny Stitt and all these people, Barry Harris, they came up in that era, the 50s era, with Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker and so on. And so this is a classic solo, and I thought it was worthy of trying to learn. And I didn't use any special software to transcribe this. I just used my ears, and that's probably the best way to do it. But the timing is always difficult to figure out the timing, and it's always difficult to play the timing, and it's hard to emulate some other person's time sense, particularly someone on the level of Barry Harris. So, but I'm going to try to zero in on a few points as we go along here. Now, if you want to be a good jazz improviser, you need to learn by either transcribing solos off of albums or just going out to gigs and hearing great players play and trying to imitate them. So when you transcribe a solo, you're really learning what they did and you're trying to imitate them. So you have to listen very closely to the way that they play. And you have to get the phrasing down and the rhythm and the notes. So there's a combination here. There's a lot going on in this particular solo because you have all of that. And yet plus you have left-hand voicings and so on. But just to take the melody now of what he's playing and the chord changes, how they relate to the chord changes, that's the first issue. And in a bebop solo, it's mostly eighth notes and it's rhythmic. It's highly rhythmic so that it's, even the first phrase. So it goes. See, so you have this, you have that phrase there. You have to get that particular phrase down, not only with the notes, but with the rhythm of it. So, and there's always going to be chromatic approach tones. There's going to be target tones and approach tones. So this is the target tone, that's the target tone, back to a target tone. Now, an approach to another target tone, and then an approach tone to another target tone. Then these approach tones. Now, interesting thing about this one, descending, skipping down, and then ascending chromatically to that target tone. You see, so B flat chord, C minor, that's the seventh. The diminished chord there now, and that's just in the scale. So he uses that chromatic approach now to the third of the D minor, and then this turnaround into the 5 of the G7. So those kind of things are very bebop. That's the bebop vocabulary, the bebop language. And so that's the first thing. And to practice this, what I did was to practice without the timing, but just to get the notes slowly like this. And the fingering. Now I can give you the fingering, but that's a very personal thing. But for me, it's, you can see 1, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, thumb. And here's where I cross over to the 3, thumb, index, ending on the thumb. Now, I'll write out the fingering for you, but I'm not going to talk about all the fingering. That would take all night to do that. But I mean, you have to find fingering that you can do at a slow speed and then pick it up gradually like this. Maybe. And then maybe. I might have done something. I might have done that there. You see, I might vary it. So you'll find variations of fingering that will work for you. I used the double thumb there, slurring, but I could do with the index finger to the thumb. I think that's the first one I did, but often I change the fingering as I'm playing it, depending how I'm feeling. So, I mean, you have to find the fingering that works for you. And you have to start out very slowly, and I always say, play it very emphatically, like this. Don't worry about the phrasing or the tempo or anything else, but just the notes and the fingering. That's what you have to start with, and playing it emphatically enough so that, and the repetitions of doing it over and over again, you're eventually going to have that phrase down. You know, like, you know, I'm speeding it up, giving it more of a jazz feel. Now, what is the jazz feel? Well, it's not even. So you learn it even eighths. Now you play it with swing eighths. That's one thing. Now, if I played swing eighths all with the same amount of accents, it would sound like this. It's pretty bland, right? So now I need to put accents. So I go, I might go, put an accent on that note. Jazz phrasing involves putting accents on offbeats. In other words, notes that are not right on the beat. They're on the offbeat, on the and. Like 1, 2, 1, like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. But you see, that really makes it swing. You want to get, and the other thing is that it's very legato. It can't be choppy. It can't be. That's ridiculous, of course. But these are not short notes. You try to make them as long as possible, as legato as possible. So now there's various steps here in learning to play the solo. And that is, first step is to learn all the notes and the fingering. Out of tempo and just emphatically. You know, slowly at first and then so on. And then gradually pick up the tempo and try to make it swing and get the accents right. And okay, so let's try it short. Now let's try legato. Now let's try to make it swing with legato. Now, if you're really gifted and you just hear music and it comes natural to you and so on, you may not ever need to transcribe anything. But even then, if you are gifted and you have special talents, you know, say if you're someone who is a child prodigy like Keith Jarrett, it's still good to transcribe. Just expand your horizons, expand your knowledge, and expand your ears, and also your ability within your fingers and your hands. And, you know, that's one thing transcribing will do for you. It'll help you to not only hear things that you wouldn't normally hear or think of in terms of its rhythm and its melodic idea, but also the way it's fingered. Like, for instance, like when I came to the next phrase, which was this one. It goes like... There, I had to figure out how am I going to finger that? That isn't something that I would usually play just in terms of its fingering. So it's 1. I had to figure this out, how I would finger this. Let me see how I did it. See, I did that jump there, so I wouldn't normally do that. That jump, that's something I would not normally play in my improvisation. See? But it works fine. In other words, these quick shifts, like I think Barry would have to be used to playing quick shifts like that, and I may not be used to doing that. Like that quick shift. But when you practice it, now you've learned a new technique, right? But because you've had to figure out how you might finger that and make it work and make the phrasing sound right and the phrase sound right. So you have to play that very slowly, emphatically. Then And here the next phrase was also difficult. That one there, coming down to that lower register, I had to figure out how to get to those notes. So I did a slur like this, like that, where I'm playing a slur between, connecting those two. And then, now you could cross over, or you could go like that. Probably I did the thumb thing there, you know, so the, you see. You don't want your fingering to hamper the sound of how the phrase should sound. In other words, you got to get the fingering that will make the phrase shape sound correct and make it swing. And this is very important because this is really separates, you know, the amateurs from the pros. The pros play, the phrases are perfect. The phrasing is perfect. It swings. The accents are in the right place, and so on and so on. And there's dynamics within the phrase. There's dynamics. Where do you want the accents? Now you may not think about this, about where the accents are, but if you really listen closely to improvisers and pianists, piano improvisers, you're going to hear those accents. You're going to hear those accents, and that's what makes it the phrase really sing and makes it great bebop improvisation. Without that, it's bland and it's amateurish. So wrapping up, just to review the concepts, you know, transcribing will develop your ears, your technique, your ability to hear things that you don't normally hear. You'll get out of the rut of the way that you play normally. You know, you'll have to learn new fingerings. You'll have to learn new melodies, melodic ideas that you wouldn't have thought of. You know, particularly you'll have to develop your technique in a way that will make it more, you'll become more versatile within your technique. You know, the best way to start is to play the phrases very slowly and emphatically. Don't try to swing them. Don't try to put the left hand in there. Just practice the right hand phrase. You know, gradually add the left hand after you've learned the right hand phrase. Try to make it swing by putting the accents in. Remember the accents of how to phrase it. Really listen to, you know, the great players and exactly how they're phrasing, where they're putting the accents. That will help you to improve. There's so much here. I'll do another version of this. I'll do a part 2 if you like. But take the solo. It'll be written out for you on my website. Practice it slowly, bring it up to speed gradually, then practice it with a backing track maybe to get it to swing. And I guarantee if you do this methodically, as I've showed you, your bebop playing will improve and your overall musicianship and playing will improve, I guarantee. If not, write to me, I'll give you a refund. Okay, signing off. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. Thanks for all your comments. Please write to me. I love to hear from you. And if you have written to me, either an email or on a comment, please give me time. You know, like you may write to me and you don't hear from me right away, but you know, it's because I'm busy and I get so many comments and so many emails. that is difficult to keep up. So just give me a week or two to respond to you. And if I don't respond, then please write to me again and say, hey, why didn't you respond? And then I will get the hint and I will respond. So I guarantee you that as well. So until next time, I'll say in the words of my great friend Hermie Dressel, you know, this great drummer, music producer, fantastic friend of mine, who every time I went in his office, when I was leaving, he would always say, swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.